Hi, and welcome to the weekly woo for September 22nd to September 28th, 2025. So I'm just going to lead in with the reading for the weekly, just as a bit of a recap and a review of last week. So we were mid-stride bridge season, full eclipse season, and leaning on that second half, like that last week where it comes to a conclusion. And so remember, eclipses are all about permanent changes in life that come in. So small, medium, large changes in life. And eclipses come in to eclipse people, places, things, stuff in or out of life. And remember, they tend to be permanent changes. Again, another example of what I've seen happen during eclipse season is I actually did see somebody's house burn down on a total lunar full moon eclipse. Again, so out with the old and in with the new, right? Not that that's going to happen. It's just an example to explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're just coming off eclipse season. It comes to an official close on September 21st with our new moon partial solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo at 29 degrees. And remember that 29th degree doesn't matter what it is in whatever sign. The 29th degree is always, always, always known as the anaretic degree, or it's a critical degree, or it's the chaos degree. It means it acts out in the negative energy first before it ever straightens out and kind of planes out into the positive, okay? So that there, just amplifies the kind of the chaos and the aggressiveness within that eclipse season. And it's going to play out into this week. So that's why I'm just kind of going to recap, because it is going to spill over into this week. Okay, so officially on the 22nd, we will enter post-shadow eclipse season, and that's going to be hanging around for about 2 months or so. Each day the eclipse energy will fade. And this particular eclipse season, we led in with a full moon total lunar eclipse, which means the lunar tends to take out first, and then we finish it off with a partial solar eclipse, new moon, which brings in the new. Okay, so out with the old, in with the new, and in that particular order, because it was a lunar eclipse first and a solar eclipse second. Okay, so just remember that. And also on the 21st, that actually officially closes the new moon, black moon cycle in Virgo. So that started August 23rd, 2025, and it officially came to a close September 21st, 2025, which actually is today, the day I'm recording. And so a new moon, black moon cycle means that we have two new moons in the same sign. So it can either fall in the same sign, or it can have two new moons in 1 month. But this particular time, it's two new moons in the same sign of Virgo. One is at 0 degrees, one is at 29 degrees. Again, those are both pivotal degrees, very, very high energized extreme degrees. The 0 degree is always a high impact degree. The 29th degree is always a very, very extreme high impact degree as well. So really, we are running two simultaneous cycles, one being the black moon cycle and also eclipse season. They actually overlapped, right? Which makes it very, very powerful. So again, we will be, and even though the black moon cycle has officially come to a close the same day as the solar eclipse, we're still going to be feeling that a little bit, because it's sitting on that 29th degree, right? So when I say two simultaneous cycles hitting at the same time, they're overlapping. So what this can mean, it can be instant change on a dime. Huge changes coming in very, very quickly that tend to be permanent. Maybe you've ended something that could be like a job, career, could be a relationship, and then you're moving into a new job or thinking about a new career or doing something new. So the new moon cycle, that black moon cycle, that can also amplify. It speeds up. It makes things rapid movement or rapid development. So it could amplify, like not waiting. You started something maybe in the end of August, and all of a sudden it gets done in lightning speed, or it takes off in lightning speed. Now we can have these two cycles hitting at the same time. So it can be one big project, one big topic or circumstance or situation, or it could be multiple, but it's all hitting at the same time. So just keep that in mind. So the last time we would have had a black moon cycle would have been last December, so December of 2024, okay? So if you think back to that time zone, it'll be kind of like a similar energy. So we will have that spilling over into this week as well. Okay, so Like I said, I'm recording this on the 21st of September. And again, this officially ends the eclipse season, and it also officially ends the black moon cycle in Virgo. So September 22nd, we are going to have Mars that enters Scorpio. So that is going to be a big one. So just remember Mars Mars is in a sign for 2 months. And so every 2 years, you're going to have these placements. So the last time Mars would have been in Scorpio would have been approximately about 2 years ago. I never looked in the book, but it'll be about that time frame. Now, this is a very, very extreme high impact combination. Mars is moving into her home sign. Mars is aggressive. You know, it's full of ambition. It's a go-getter. It's our god of war. And it is aggressive. It's tend to be known as a malefic planet, and it is moving into the sign of Scorpio. The sign of Scorpio is all about death and transformation, okay? So you have one extremely malefic, high-powered planet, Mars, moving into an extreme, high-powered sign, Scorpio. So this means high transformation. So when you start mixing these kind of energies and the post-shadow period of the eclipse season, the post-shadow period of the black moon cycle in Virgo, and you start mixing all these energies together, it becomes like that hot, rapid boiling pot, like things like happening at lightning speed. You get change out of the blue that becomes permanent. And when we start talking about Mars, Mars is the god of war, right? It's aggressive, and this can be war, it can be conflict, it can be fighting. It can also be about surgeries, cutting things, those kind of things. It's also a planet about separation and division. So when we talk about separation and division with Mars and Scorpio, that can be cutting, separating, ending the death of. That actually could be physical death, of course, because be realistic, I mean, that's part of life. And Scorpio is about death and transformation. Most of the time it's figurative death and transformation, but sometimes it can be physical death. It can also be, when Mars cuts away, it separates, it divides. So, you know, we've seen this going on in the world, right? So it could be separation of couples, it could be separation of people, you know, political front, or the separation due to opinions. I mean, we've seen that going on for how many years, but it's going to be very amplified. Mars cuts away, it gets rid of. It's also like the aggressor. It's very aggressive energy. It's fighting, like I said, conflict, war, and that can be war-torn, death-related, death-linked. Now, that can be personal, that can be too global. You're on the planet, you count. Like nobody's exempt from that energy. It's a worldly, global energy. So again, September 22nd, Mars enters home sign of Scorpio, a very powerful duo. So, and this is also a really good time if you want to have a good transformation time, a good transition time. This is it. So this will be the marker point to go do whatever you need to do, because things are going to be happening at lightning speed, and that's going to push it. It's full of energy. It's your ambition. It's your initiative, those kind of things. Also, something else I do want to mention about Mars and Scorpio. Mars is highly, highly sexual, and so is Scorpio. Scorpio also rules the 8th house, which is also about sex and sexuality, sex, those kind of things. So in this 2 months, you could be noticing, people or even topics around you being very sexualized, sexual behaviors. And often when I see this would be a point I would be very cautious or conscientious of STDs, okay? Because Mars is highly sexual, and so is Scorpio, and now you're mixing those two energies together, that planet with that sign. So just keep that in mind. So again, a very highly sexual, it doesn't matter, it's aggressive all the way around, but sex, sexuality, sexual activity is very high, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, September 23rd, we have the sun entering Libra. Okay, so sun entering Libra, every time we have the sun at 0 degrees Libra, that becomes our fall point. That is our fall equinox time. So that's where we have equal days, equal nights. And we are slowly working into our darker part of the year. Shorter days, shorter light, darker times, and we are slowly entering into that. So again, September 23rd, sun enters Libra at 0 degrees. That is our fall equinox. Okay, so that was just kind of the highlight of the shifts and those kind of things going on. So our larger overshadowing energies are going to be, we have Saturn is in retrograde status in Pisces. We have Neptune retrograde in Aries. We have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. We have Uranus retrograde in Gemini. Okay, so we will have 4 planets in retrograde. Again, I'm just going to mention we are going to be the post-shadow period eclipse season for about 2 calendar months or so. Just each day it will fade away a little bit each day till it's eventually gone. We will have... Yes, and we will. I'm just going to mention the black moon cycle. We still will be feeling the effects, even though the new moon cycle, black moon cycle in Virgo has come to a close. It's just sitting on that 29th degree, and that is going to have a bit of a lingering effect too. So it's a very, very aggressive week. As much as I'd like to say things are going to calm down, it's not. The last 2 weeks, it's going to be similar to those, except it's going to be jacked up and a little more energized even more. And something else I will put a warning out for this week is don't antagonize the crazy. It'd be very, very cautious when you're driving, road rage, people being angry, okay? And know why I say that is because we are going to have on the 24th of September, we have a Mars square Pluto. Now that is a mean one. So when I say a mean one, it's a hard square, it's problem, it's conflict, it's troubles, it's very, very troubled in nature, very problematic. Again, that is the god of war mixing with the god of death, basically. The planet of death and transformation. So when you transformation rather. So when you start mixing those two aggressive planets with a tough, hard, major aspect, that's troublesome. That's looking for trouble waiting to happen. That is actually war energy. So that could be very much war-torn zones, wars breaking out. So that could be global, right? That could be between people. That, again, something else that would come to mind would be road rage, fighting, those kind of things, inexcusable, unacceptable behavior, people doing things that they normally wouldn't do. It's very triggering. So if you're throwing the hook, throw it back. If you're throwing the hook, walk away. Do not respond. Do not antagonize crazy people. Do not antagonize angry people. It's going to be one of those weeks where it takes very, very little to push someone over the edge, where they would be doing something that they will certainly later regret, okay? As one of my old instructors used to say, it's hide under a rock if you can for a brief while. Now, I'd like to say that one's going to be short-lived, but it's not. That aspect is kind of long-lasting. And why it's long-lasting is because the planets don't move that fast. So you can have an opposition, which is, or a square. Those are both major, hard, tough, problematic, very tension-filled aspects. And when you have slower-moving planets involved, it just means they move slower, which means they hang around longer and they last longer, okay? So that's going to definitely be an energy for this whole week. Now, so the thing of it is, this whole week, we actually have a lot of... negative aspects. So really we have 14 negative aspects and we have 2 positive aspects, but the 2 positive aspects are actually quite lovely. We have 2 trines, okay? So not all the 14 negative aspects are extremely major, hard conflict ones or tension-filled aspects, but we have a bunch of them little bugger minor negative aspects. So we have semi-sextiles, we have semi-squares, we have in conjunctions, we have sesquiquadrates. So when you have those are those little buggers that are always altering the plans. Every day is something different. So, or you have your plan, you think it's going to be concreted in for this week. Well, I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. So be flexible, be open, be willing to adjust and shift directions and shift your attention somewhere else, because your plans, by the looks of it, my calendar after I did it up this morning, every day is going to be a change. We also have quintiles too, so quintiles and biquintiles. So many every day there's a minor hiccup aspect. So again, in conjuncts, quintiles, all those are considered minor hiccup or minor problematic aspects that change our plans on a daily basis. Okay, so again, just be open, be flexible, be willing, and it always helps to have a little bit of a head up, because people say to me, why would I even want to know that? Well, you want to know that because you're not caught off guard, B, you're not surprised, and you know what? You know what's coming up, so you know to be flexible, so it's not going to ruin your day because you kind of think that this could be a possibility. When it comes, it's like, okay, let's change and let's readjust and realign our plans, and away we go again. And for a lot of this, it can end up being multiple plan changes every day. So just keep that in mind. Again, the big square is going to be between Mars and Pluto on September 24th. You might want to circle that day in your calendar. We also have an opposition. We have an opposition on September 23rd. So this is Sun opposition Neptune retrograde in Aries. Again, this is another tough one too. So anytime you have oppositions and squares, this is actually the day before. I really want to talk about the Mars Pluto first because that's very, very high impact, very attention getting, and that can be extremely, extremely problematic for probably most people and considered globally. Okay, so that's collective energy. So the Sun opposition Neptune, again, that can very much be arguments, fights over views, opinions, how you see things. It's elusive. It's also the con artist. It's the con man. So don't believe everything you see and don't believe everything you're told, because Neptune is the master of illusions. It's also about Hollywood. It's about films. It's about the rose-colored glasses. People not being able or not wanting to see things as they are. They want to see what they want to see and not reality. So that's something else. Head in the sand, rose-colored glasses. It's also creating a division or an eroding away. Anytime you see Neptune anywhere, whether it's transiting or an aspect, it can often mean it's fading away, it's eroding away, it's dissolving. It's a dissolution energy, which means it's slowly dissolving away things. Now, so when I say dissolving away, it could be, for example, I like to use this because this would make a lot of sense to a lot of people when I say dissolving away, a marriage. Okay, and it is sitting in the Sun is in Libra. So essentially, if you had a marriage contract, when Neptune comes in, it literally dissolves away the marriage contract, dissolves away the relationship. So dissolution effect. It could be a dissolution of a corporation or a company as well. That's another good example. Okay, but for the most part, oppositions mean fight. It means tension. It means tug of war. It can mean feeling torn apart in two different ways, being pulled in two directions. You might see one thing one way and somebody else might see it another, or you might feel like you need to be in two different places at two different times, which you know we can't do. So those kind of things. But for the most part, that's a fairly tough one too. All right. So that's the major things I wanted to talk about. Again, the whole week we are looking at it's bumpy, hiccupy, it's fighty, it's conflict. So just be very, very conscientious and be very, very aware of your behaviors, and you want to respond and not emotionally react. That's going to get people into trouble. This week has got high potential to a lot of people to do things that they're later going to regret. Don't be one of those people. We will have, again, we have aspects every day. Again, every day your plans are going to probably change. We do have a high amount of communication coming in. We have a Sun sitting in Libra. Libra is an air sign. It's all about communications. Something else we are really working towards is finding inner peace, inner balance. That could be external to peace and balance, harmony, fairness, and it's also about the legal system, the justice system. So that could be a high focus for some people out there too. It's going to be a very, very high communication week. So pick your priorities. Really consider what tasks and obligations and responsibilities are important, which ones are. Chase after them. The ones that are not, throw in the back seat, because it can be very, very tiring. Again, and also I want to talk about this too, is when we have, it's almost like a boiling pot of turmoil. That's probably a really good way to describe it, is that because we have the post-shadow energies, of what I just said, the overshadowing energies coming. We have all these rough hiccup aspects. We have, a real hard Mars square Pluto. That's fight, that's tension, that's conflict, that's war. That's war-torn. That's death and transformation. Death and transformation. You mix those two, and you can probably come up with many outputs or results with those two particular words. Okay. Again, plans changing like crazy on a daily basis. Something else I want to touch on now, because I touched on the really, really hard ones first, and then we have lots and lots of negative, minor, bumpy hiccups where it just creates kind of daily turmoil with plans, replanning, readjusting, rescheduling, changing, whatever, that kind of thing. But I also want to mention, and I did briefly before, that we have two really, really, really good trines. So one trine is going to be September 23rd. That's going to be a Sun trine Uranus. That's going to be probably unexpected communication. And it could be unexpected good news to do with law or legal matters or legal cases or maybe legal correspondence. It's also out of the blue surprise, good news, even good ideas, or it can be communication to the universe or cosmos or your God or those kind of things too. But it's an unexpected something good. That's a good mojo, right? September 23rd, September 24th, we are going to have a Sun trine Pluto. There's another trine. So those are those like really sweetie pie aspects, the best of the best of the best aspects on the astrology charts. So that's why I say stay very, very hyper focused on something positive and something good, because it can be one of these weeks where everything you think could go wrong will go wrong, or someone kind of looks at you the wrong way, or you get into a fight with whoever, and you're so focused on the negative and the upset and those kind of things that you totally lose sight of all the good mojo coming in. And so the 23rd and the 24th, those happen to be the same days, the squares and the oppositions, but those same days we do have the trines coming in. So be very hyper vigilant, hyper focused on something positive, something good coming in, because if you don't, you're going to miss the good mojo boat. So again, the 23rd, 24th is a high mixed bag, because you have everything possibly good that could be going on in those days mixed with the worst of the worst combinations of negative aspects, and they're hitting the same day. So when I say a mixed bag, it's a mixed bag of good and a mixed bag of negative or bad. So just pay attention to that, okay? And also we have a couple sesquiquadrates, and that's a pick a fight. So that's tension, it's confusion, it's upset. So be sure you know what you're talking about, know fact from fiction before you kind of take part or get involved in conversations or activities or those kind of things, because that can lead to like a complete blowout. So again, it's a high conflict week. So like pick your battles. Better yet, don't pick any battles at all. Walk away. It's a good week to spend time outdoors, do exercise, spend time gardening, or, probably finishing up gardening for a lot of places. Your food preparation, do something positive, something constructive with your time, something that you can, say you did something this week and actually accomplish something. And also, it is also a week where people are going to want to start a million things and probably not finish anything. You have a lot of cardinal energy. And it's fairly busy. So I would just make sure if you start a few things, finish a few things, because it could be one of the things where you want to start 25 things and finish nothing. So just be aware of that. Because sometimes, as good as ideas it sounds to start this and start that and something else down the street, it doesn't work out. It becomes very frustrating and disappointing because you don't finish anything. Okay? So that's something else that's going to be jumping out too. So when I look at this, so it's a very busy week. We don't have quite as many aspects as last week, but we still have enough where it's going to be kind of like the junkyard of everything going on every day, and kind of aggravating and annoying because so many plans are going to be changing. Okay, so when I look at this can be very much job and career based. Let me find my papers here. So when you go into topics, and I like to stick just with the main rulerships. I only do the aspects and no house, because the houses, it would not be accurate for everywhere in the world who was listening to this. So with the highlights is going to be probably business, work, jobs, something to do with your career or management within your career. It could be dad, father figure. So when I say father figures, anybody who would have been a father figure and you can be very highlighted this particular week, or authority figure. So that can be courts, that can be lawyers, that can be judges, that can be police or RCMP, with those like law enforcement people. This is also being seen out in the world for what you do, like how you're seen, what your public recognition would be, your public reputation. And it's also an area where we're going to be looking at having responsibility, discipline, and you might even need some strategy or strategies, or looking at strategies. And physical time can be of the essence as well. So when I look at that, physical time, scheduling, and having structure. So building a structure, having a structure, or restructuring something can be very, very important as well. It's also it's going to hit on the seventh house as well too, which is going to be the relationship house. It's going to be about partnerships. It's going to be contracts. It's going to be about agreements, aesthetics, beauty, design, practitioners. And if you need helpers or help along, you might be looking at that time, this time zone for somebody who can help you out with whatever you have going on. Again, like I said, contracts, agreements, that's going to be more the legal area. Clients, customers, customer relations, public relations, okay? This also hovers around relationship with self. And it can be your relationship with yourself, but it can also be relationship with others and having to find a balance. So that can mean if you're taking on too many responsibilities for somebody else and you're doing it all, that means you're going to have to be finding a balance within you, but you also have to find a balance within the other person. That can be very, very focused here. Often that can fall on dependence and codependent areas, okay? So that's going to be one part of it. The next part is going to be the physical body. So also the weight, your wellness, illness, healing. When I look at the first house, that's actually a health house. That's a physical health house, okay? Also your viewpoint, how you view yourself, how you view situations, how you see the world, your opinion, how you come across. The first house is kind of about how you come about on an everyday basis. You display yourself, how you present yourself to the world, and how others would see you on a more personal level, your outlook on life, okay? And also what you recognize for, your recognition, and also the physical appearance. So you might be working on your physical appearance. That can be your body weight, body mass. Maybe you're working out. It can be hairstyles, getting facial things done, beauty techniques done, maybe facelifts, those types of things you might be looking at. It could be like skin, makeup, anything to do with the physical appearance and how you were seen. That can be the physical body, the hair, the head, the face. And how you approach each day, right? So how you interact with people, how you interact with your job, your career, your attitude, your viewpoint, how you handle yourself, on a personal level, how you handle yourself with others in groups or crowds. Okay, but very much a health house. So the physical health will definitely be something you'll be looking at. So that can be diet, that can be exercise, anything to do with the body. How you move it, how it's shaped, how you work it, what you're building on that body, and how you want it to look for yourself or you want it to appear for others. Okay. And also, this one in particular, the next batch is a very, very interesting house because this is ultra highlighted here. So this is when I'm looking at the 8th house, because this is actually showing up twice in this week, because when I see the 8th house pop up twice for like a high interest sake, or it's very, very busy, that means it's double amplified. So it's other people's resources. It's also a house of surgery. It's a hidden house. It's a water house. It's beneath the surface. You can't see. It's dark. It would be like on a lake. You can see the boats on top of the water, but nothing below because it's dark. It's watery, and no one can see the below. So it's also known as a health house. It's about emotion. It's about physical operations, or hidden procedures. So surgeries, hidden procedures, things that maybe you don't want people to know about, or you've had things done that people don't know about, or it can be about booking surgeries, having surgeries, okay? The 8th house is a health house, but it's also emotions or health is also included in there. Psychology is also, and the subconscious areas as well. But it's such a large house, there's more than just that. So it's also the house of death, right? So that can be physical death, that can be figurative death, a psychology house. It's also a self-empowerment house, okay? It can have to do with anything unseen, hidden, or secret, right? Estates, wills, funerals, other people's resources, inheritance. It can be spousal support, family money, shared money, shared accounts, right? Spousal support, collaboration, debt, a large debt. It can be credit, capital, loans, taxes, anything to do with legacy, your credit rating, anything to do with credit. So it could be credit for a big loan, or you could be looking at big loans, having problems with big loans, or getting a big loan or having to pay off a big loan. It's about intimacy and sex. And here this comes up again. So intimacy and sex, The eighth house is very, very active, as is Mars. That can be a very, very good combination, or it can be a very dangerous combination. It's also the house of marriage, power, control, psychology, parapsychology, mysteries, esoteric, occult areas. It's also about mystical areas, mysticism. Again, I have said surgeries. It also can have to do with insurance, okay? So whether you're buying insurance, maybe making a claim or paying an insurance premium, or you might have an insurance payout for an inheritance or an insurance payout for a death, that also can come up. And it's about other people's money. It's also, when I say other people's money, it can be anything. It can be somebody gifting you money that doesn't belong to you. It's also the house of lotto money, okay? And that's also, so even though it's a very, very, very big house, and it's got a lot of serious content within it, it also has some very good things. Like it could be lotto money, again, tax, and it's also about the house of taxes. Do I have that written? Yes. I said that. House of taxes. So you might be looking at taxes, having a tax credit, tax rebate, or you might owe in tax, right? It could be anything under the sun. But the eighth house is anywhere from death to sex to taxes to legacy, shared money to lotto. I mean, everything under the sun fits in this house. And the house of surgery, right? The health house. So again, a very, very, very amplified areas. So chances are you will see at least probably one, if not more, of those subjects or topic matters coming up. And the next one we are going to be taking a looking at is for content. The 11th house is very highlighted as well. So that's going to be internet. That's going to be social media, internet-based projects, inventions, innovation. It's also about crypto, digital currency, not crypto. I should just say digital currency, right? Something else I forgot. I'm just going to go back to the eighth house is investments. That's something else I wanted to talk about, because that technically is not money that you don't earn it, but it's investment money. I don't think I mentioned that. Okay, again, so we'll skip back over to house 11. So again, internet-based projects, social media, friends, dating, acquaintances, friends circles, your place in a friend circle, your place in the group. Again, inventions, innovation, technology. It's basically about groups or friends or committees or places that you belong that would be groups. Like, so it could be large organizations, or it could be for a town or a city, but a group for building something better for your place, your town, your city, your community, your country. It's also about humanitarian efforts on a large scale. It's about like minds, like groups, associations. And this can also include politics. And we probably can see a lot of political problems show up this week because of that Mars-Pluto square. This is also about the hopes, wishes, and dreams. The 40 wishes house. This is hopes, wishes, and dreams, which is really nice. And it's also known as the pennies from heaven. Okay. The 11th house is an air house. It's about communication. It's also about travel. And we talk about the 11th house. Uranus rules the 11th house, and Uranus is the sky god. So travel plans, travel problems, particularly highlighted in the air travel. Okay. So keep that in mind. And for the most part, you can have some pretty good flow here because it is a trine. But we do have quite a few Uranus hiccups this week. So it could be, a mixed bag of travel plans. Some things going smooth, some things going bad. Again, as a general rule of thumb, it's going to be almost like part 3. So 2 weeks ago, we had the beginning of the eclipse energy, which is kind of a bit of a rough ride. It's bumpy. The next week was a little bit more amped up. Well, this is, even though the eclipse season is officially closed, this week it makes up the difference and makes it extra rough and bumpy because of the hard aspects we have coming in, all those minor hiccup aspects, right? So it jacks it up a little bit more. And again, that Mars-Pluto square, I keep on bringing this up because it's very, very amplified, and it's going to be hanging around quite some time. Again, use common sense and use a lot of caution when you're approaching certain things that tend to be maybe a little sticky or a little sensitive, okay? Because it's one of those weeks where you could end up seeing people absolutely snapping. just that little something that pushes them over the edge and they completely snap, okay? So use discretion, use discrimination, use caution. Proceed with caution. All right, and we are going to talk a little bit about the third house because that's the next amplified house that could have some relevance to you as well. So the third house, it's about people close to us, our neighbors, our relatives. It's about our siblings, okay? It could be cousins, it could be aunts and uncles, it could be brothers and sisters, and that will include step brothers and sisters as well. This too is also an air house, okay? So this is also about travel, it's about communications, right? Travel here and there. When you talk about third house travel, that's local environment, that's somewhere close, okay? And so it also can include communication, lots of communication, interpersonal devices. So that can be, you might be looking at computers, iPods, iPads. You might be looking at it or shopping for one or buying one or maybe having problems with one. It's also, again, social media and internet focused. So we might be looking at devices, communication devices, systems. Again, this is to do with transportation and mobility. So you could be looking at like such things as wheelchairs, okay, or modes of transportation, right? Wheelchairs, scooters, motorbikes, vehicles, those kind of things, walking, anything like that. And it's also to do with writing and editing. So if you're writing anything, editing anything, that's going to be very highlighted this week as well. Also, the third house too, the one of the more negative things is it can be a problem with gossip, okay? So do use discretion when you are talking. Know what you're talking about. Better yet, don't use any gossip at all because that can create a lot of problems. And you do not want a gossip problem when you have, especially this kind of an aggressive week because, again, if somebody was upset with you for spreading gossip or something, this could be the week where they're going to snap, okay? So again, just use common sense, use discretion, know fact from fiction. And again, you're better off not to start gossip or create those kind of problems as well, okay? So, again, that's going to be a lot. I mean, that's a lot of what I've said, and it covered a lot of territory. But those are the places that are going to be highlighted. So I'm going to go into the health and anatomy. So with the health and anatomy, we're going to be looking at the heart. Anything to do with the heart, where the heart is pumping, the heart is pushing blood, any pulmonary, those kind of things. It could be heart rate. It could actually be blood pressure, those kind of things. Upper back, spleen, circulatory system, sperm, the eyes, general vitality and state of health. Again, that will fall back to that first health about the physical health, weight, wellness, illness, healing, or methods of healing. Just going to find my next paper. And again, this is going to be about the muscular system. I touched a little bit about this on the first house, but we're going to talk about it again. So the muscular system, any sort of muscle in the body system, external reproductive system. Now, when I say reproductive system, also keep in mind the endocrine system, your hormones, those kind of things, male, female, that can be highlighted. The head, the face, the red blood cells, bladder, adrenal glands. I'll keep on flipping here. And the higher nervous system, so that's the electrical impulses passing over the nerve cells, body electricity, and ankles. And the next one, we will be looking at eliminative and reproductive systems. Again, so that's the bladder, that can be the colon. And remember, the reproductive system always includes any sort of hormones. So male hormones, female hormones, the endocrine system, pituitary gland. And here we get into the topic of cancer. So any types of cancer, abnormal growths, warts, tumors, moles, birthmarks. Again, any type of cancer. If it's not cancer, it can be topics of cancer or someone talking to you about cancer, maybe their cancer or a discussion of cancer. This also includes skin tags and the hypothalamus gland. And we'll flip over to the other part. This will also include the kidneys, the lower back, and adrenal glands. Adrenal glands, that is going to be a highlighted area because I believe I just finished saying that, and that has to do with the Mars area. just going to go back and have a look. So again, stressed out and adrenaline running wild, and that could be very, very highly impacted because we do have an active Mars. Yes, adrenal glands. Yeah, so adrenal glands are double amplified, which is very, very highlighted, a very highlighted focus, a very highlighted or energized area you want to be looking at. So you want to be looking at your stress levels in your adrenal glands big time. Okay, let's flip over to... Okay, and so also the genitals, female, male, bladder, again, that's a double amplified. That is something that's going to be prime focus. Maybe you have a bladder problem, something that needs to be looked at, or maybe you're having problems and maybe something you need to go see a medical professional about. The rectum, reproductive organs. Okay, so it's very much bladder, adrenal glands, reproductive organs, hormones, endocrine system, very, very focused in those areas. It's very highlighted this week, and it could be. And if you're running into a problem where you don't know what the problem is, these areas I'm listing can also be an area where you might want to go look and search because it's highlighted. You know, if you can't figure something out, this might be the place to start looking. It kind of gives you kind of like maybe a little hint of maybe what's going on in the background that you can't seem to put a finger on it. There's some ideas for you to start. And so the lungs, the respiratory system, collarbone, hands, arms, elbows, shoulders, and nervous system. And I think that should be all of it for most of it. That's where we are busy this week in all those areas. Again, very highlighted. Again, the bladder, the endocrine system, hormones, reproductive system. And again, I will also I've touched briefly on this, but not in this kind of manner or this direction, but be very, very careful about the head, the face area, any sort of head trauma, head problems that's within the head. That can be mental health, emotional health. Again, head accidents, taking hits to the head, anything around the head, face, interior, extra, be very, very careful. Head traumas, okay? And with that being said, I think that pretty much wraps up this week's Weekly Woo from the 22nd to the 28th. I'm just going to go through my list here. Again, circle the dates. I didn't touch on that one. So circle the dates is going to be, I'm just going to say the 21st. That's actually one day last week, but I'm going to touch on it anyway. September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 27th, and 28th are circle the days. Again, our best and worst days are the 23rd, 24th. Keep in mind to stay very, very focused because 23rd we have a trine, 24th we have a trine, same day we have an opposition and a square. And I think that should pretty much wrap it up. Again, be very flexible. And also be kind this week because this is going to be a very rough ride for a lot of people. Some people might not be playing through it or come through it pretty good. Others will absolutely not. So make it a pay it forward week. Be kind because you know what? You really never know what other people are going through. Things can look good on the surface, but in the background or behind the scenes or behind closed doors, she's a rough ride for people. So be kind, make it a pay it forward week. Until we talk again next week, stay happy, healthy, take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.